the easy one. Has Aaron Rodgers actually asked to be traded? Do we know the answer to that?
I don't know the answer to that, Colin.
All right.
If he hasn't, he's come right to the edge of the cliff, or his agent David Dunn has. But I can't report that with certainty. But I think he does want to be traded.
Okay, that's the second thing. You do think he wants to be traded. You do this morning. You say that with certainty.
I think he wants to be traded, yeah. But I don't think the Packers are going to trade him, at least right now. I think this is a situation that's very much like Carson Palmer exactly 10 years ago when they went through the whole off season. And Palmer said, I'll retire if I have to play for if I'm playing for the Bengals, I'm not playing anymore. And so they ended up trading him in October to the Raiders. But at the start of it, the Bengals had no intention whatsoever of trading him. They were just going to let him sit. And then it got to be October, and the Raiders called, and the rest is history.
Do you believe James Jones, Aaron's good friend, said yesterday it's fixable? He talks to Aaron every day, I imagine, or close to it. Do you believe it's fixable?
I believe it's May 7th, and it's hard to say that for the first time in history, the MVP of the NFL playing at the height of all his power would absolutely unequivocally be traded. It just, when the team absolutely unequivocally does not want to trade him. I just think it's too early to really say absolutes about anything. If you ask me, do you think he's going to suit up for the Packers? I would say the chances are less than 50-50 that he will. But it's just so hard to know 3 months before anything matters. There's a lot of time for things to be fixed. Now, you know, I've heard from other people close to Aaron, absolutely he does not want to play for the Packers anymore. So is it fixable? I suppose anything's possible. And James Jones knows Aaron Rodgers a lot better than I do, so I trust him more than I trust me.
Let me throw this out there. The NBA is more labor-driven. The players have more power. Baseball, they get 10-year contracts. In the NFL, you know, the harder you work in college, the worse team you go to in the NFL, and if you're a quarterback, you are trapped. They can franchise you, which I just think is an awful. I don't know why players ever agree to the franchise, but they do. You can be literally trapped. So Russell Wilson, who by all accounts is a good guy, go Hawks, decided a couple years ago, I'm going to go out there and I want more money. And I was told by a credible source, he had told his agent, shop me around. He got a new contract. Aaron this offseason, not happy. No more go Hawks. Said get a better offensive line. They did. Now he appears to be happy. My point is, even the good guys, you feel trapped. I mean, Tom Brady did a documentary, allowed the documentarian.
Gotham Chopra.
Yeah. Great guy.
Yeah.
To put in there his wife saying, hey, he's not respected. Could this just be a cry for help? Hey, restructure my deal, get me Julio Jones, admit you whiffed on Jordan Love, and let's move on. Could it just be that he's just saying, like Russell, fix the problem. I'm not the problem.
I think he's, there's so many things about what you just said. Number one, how huge of a problem could they have going 26-6 over the last 2 years? I mean, they're a really good team as it is. But I do think, I don't think this is about his contract. I think this is about him feeling like he's not really respected within the organization. They don't want to know his ideas or what he thinks about this or anything like that. I think that is the biggest problem at its base right now. And you would think that something like that is fixable. But if they've had 2 or 3 sessions alone with him out in California and it hasn't been fixed yet, what will fix it? You know, my theory right now, Colin, what could fix this is Mark Murphy, the club president, basically acting as a conduit and saying, okay, look, Aaron's unhappy because of X, Y, and Z. And the team's structure is that, the front office picks the players, the coaches coach the players play, and never the twain shall meet. But, if I right now am Mark Murphy, I'm trying to be the olive branch guy.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to say to Aaron, okay, Aaron, if we did X, Y, and Z, if you have a session with Brian Gutekunst, say twice a month for a half hour after a Friday practice or whatever, and you just, you say what's on your mind. I mean, those are the kind of things, those are the kind of ideas that, at least in my opinion, might be able to bridge this divide.
So one of the questions I ask every single NFL player I bring on the show before the draft, dozens, I'll ask them one question, and I preface it by saying, I ask every player this. How many practices does it take to be able to tell, oh, God, that guy can't play? Or, oh, my Lord, that guy's going to be great. And, Peter, to a player, the answer is always shockingly low. 2 practices, 4, a third of a camp. We had a guy, Sam Acho said the other day, 2 practices, and I knew my quarterbacks in Arizona, they weren't the guys. And so they've had over 100 practices with Jordan Love. Is it possible, if they knew he was Josh Allen, this is really solvable, and that maybe Green Bay just missed, and they know they missed?
I think it's possible, Colin. You hear things out of every NFL team, and I do hear things about Jordan Love, but it's totally unfair. How can you know about Jordan Love? Remember, in Aaron Rodgers' first training camp, I remember Bob McGinn writing about it, and it was bad. He didn't look good either. So I think it's really unfair to just say, is Jordan Love ready? How would anybody know if he'd be ready? There were no preseason games last year. He hasn't played. All he's done is throw footballs in practice. And, of course, you can get a gut feeling about that, but it's impossible to know enough about whether Jordan Love can play or whether he can't play, in my opinion.
Let's segue to the 49ers. Really interesting. I didn't love Mac Jones. I said I think he should be the 5th quarterback drafted. That's what it feels like to me. If you're struggling with Garoppolo's ceiling, then why draft the guy with reportedly the lowest ceiling? And I do think in a division with Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray and Matt Stafford, Mac Jones would not look the part very early, and his teammates in the locker room would know it. I did like Jed York. I have this theory. Jed York came out a couple times earlier this week, and he said, listen, we're going to play Garoppolo. He could be here 2 years. And I want you to respond to just my opinion on this. You only gave up a 2nd-round pick for Garoppolo, and he got you to a Super Bowl. Peter, you already won the trade. Don't worry about winning it again. Just keep Garoppolo until the wheels come off. I don't see the value of moving him. Do you?
The only way they were going to move him, Colin, is if they got a 1st-round pick. Nobody ever offered him a 1st-round pick. So I think it's wise that they keep him. Now, of course, it cost him $24 million, and that's a lot of money for a guy who might not play the full season. However, if you look at the 49ers over the last 4 years, the years that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have run the show, if you look at those years, when they had a quarterback for a full season, they went to a Super Bowl and had a 10-point lead in the 4th quarter of that Super Bowl. The other 3 years when they didn't have a quarterback for the full season, they went 6-10, 6-10, and 4-12. So, I always thought even if they could get a 1, I didn't love the trade for San Francisco because they need to have a quality backup quarterback so their season isn't over if the first one gets hurt.
I don't know. I always love the draft. Not everybody does. A lot of people think it's just nonsense. I watch a lot of college football. Therefore, it's a convergence of the NFL and college. And to me, I love both sports. Do you ever have a feeling after a draft or an off season? I thought the Chargers had a very good off season. I thought the Browns had a very good off season by getting a play caller on the back end of their defense from the Rams, a really heady kid who, this is a kid that can direct traffic back there. He's not just a player. I thought the Chargers, the fact that Herbert was as good as he was with an atrocious offensive line just speaks volumes of his ceiling. So I did think Cleveland and the Chargers,